Survivor Series 2024 is coming this Saturday night, and there's only 3 matches on the card, but I want to give you my thoughts on the matches that are currently booked for Survivor Series WarGames and tell you what matches I think could happen this Saturday night from Canada. So kicking us off, we have the Women's WarGames match. It's going to be Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and formerly Jade Cargill, and I think it'll be Bayley who replaces her, against the Judgment Day's Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and then the women's champion on the SmackDown brand, Nia Jax, her BFF, the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, Tiffany Stratton, and the Speed Women's Champion, Candice LeRae. Guys, this match, it's kind of chaotic in terms of its build. It's been a lot of cross-saturation of brand, which I'm here for. That's really great. Jade Cargill obviously taken out last Friday night on SmackDown. And they'll probably announce who the new team member is going to be either on Raw, on SmackDown, or at the show. I feel like you always got to have somebody kind of just surprise show up for these WarGames matches. So maybe it won't be until Survivor Series WarGames, but I could also see it be this Friday at SmackDown. Now, here's my issue with Bayley taking place of this. She hasn't not been around. So while I do think she's the likely pick, I would rather see something a little bit bigger. And you could always say this is kind of an annoying pick, but Charlotte Flair makes a lot of sense. She's been out of WWE for a while now with an injury, and it sounds like she's been ready to come back for quite some time. So I think that would be a great pick. It would also give Jade and Charlotte a feud when Jade gets back. It could also lead to Charlotte versus Bianca Belair, a feud that has not properly taken place yet. So there's a lot of ways that this could turn out, but I think the inner conflict between Team Liv and Nia is going to have more friction, and that'll be the reason that Team Rhea Ripley defeats Team Liv Nia at Survivor Series, because at the end of the day, there's 2 major components of this, or 3 technically. But the 2 biggest ones are, number 1, you have Nia and Liv carrying over the friction that they just had in the lead up and at Crown Jewel, being part of that Women's Crown Jewel Championship match between the Women's World Champion Liv and the WWE Women's Champion Nia. And so that is still fresh. And then you also have the conflict between Nia and Tiffany Stratton, who are supposedly best friends, but we've seen the disillusion of that friendship over the last few weeks. And what if Tiffany tries to cash in her women's Money in the Bank contract, her women's briefcase in the actual WarGames match? We saw Damian Priest tease that last year against Seth Rollins in the WarGames match. So does that happen in the women's WarGame match? I don't think so. It would be really, really cool, and I hope I'm wrong. It would be awesome to see that happen. But I think those 2 major plot points, and Nia being the center of both of those, cause an implosion of that team. Rhea Ripley picks up the scraps, and then she gets the win for her team. So I have Rhea Ripley's team to win this. Right now, I have Bayley to replace the injured Jade Cargill. However, I could also see Charlotte taking that spot. Regardless of the makeup of that team at the end of the day, though, it's going to be Team Rhea walking out with the win. Next up, we have Gunther defending his World Heavyweight Championship against the former champion, Damian Priest. These 2 guys are really great together in the ring. They have some incredible, insane chemistry. And obviously, we've also saw that at SummerSlam when Gunther defeated Damian Priest for the title. A lot of the build and a lot of the emotional equity we got in that feud is carried onto this feud. And I think while we're going to see Gunther retain in this matchup, I can't help but feel like there's a little bit of a seed of doubt in me. We just saw Gunther lose to Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel, and honestly, that was probably the right call. I originally predicted Gunther to win because I think you got to build him to be this unstoppable monster heel. But then he shook hands with Cody at the end of that match and then reverted right back to being this, really just degenerate heel at the end of the day. And we know that Goldberg, that feud is kind of like off in the curtains. He's just waiting in the wing, waiting to have his retirement match. Well, where would he have his retirement match? There's not a lot of places that make sense except for a place like maybe like WrestleMania. So does that mean Damian Priest gets the win now? Or are we going to see Damian Priest lose as a result of the Judgment Day? And there's been a lot of conflict between Dirty Dom and Finn Balor and the Judgment Day. Have they moved on from Damian Priest? I think they took way too long to pull the trigger on Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. And I think that kind of caused a little bit of a lack of caring in that feud, unfortunately. Also, we probably waited too long to pull the trigger on Finn Balor winning the world title. There's a lot of guys who deserve to be a world champion in the context of like this whole storyline that's been going on. And then you have CM Punk, who just came back. Seth Rollins is always a great choice. I think Punk and Rollins will eventually get their hands on it. But as a result of that, that's what's really pushing me towards Gunther being the one to win this matchup. Because with Damian Priest winning, what does that create in terms of storylines moving forward? Do you have the ability to tell a story where Gunther loses the title, goes and wrestles Goldberg at Royal Rumble for what? For just pride and honor? And Damian Priest defends his championship against who? Bronson Reed, maybe? Something about it just doesn't feel very cohesive in terms of the storytelling. And we know Triple H loves telling long-term stories. We know he likes long-term title reigns. And I also don't think this is going to be another 2-year title reign from Gunther. But I do think we're going to at least get him to the Royal Rumble. Maybe he loses to Punk there. Maybe he loses to Rollins. Either way, I think Gunther retains the title for now. Maybe we do see Gunther versus Goldberg at Royal Rumble. And maybe that's his retirement match for Goldberg, and Gunther carries the World Championship into WrestleMania and has a dream match with John Cena, and John Cena gets number 17. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I feel more confident that any of those things are way more likely than Damian Priest winning the World Championship only to then have to wrestle Bronson Reed or Finn Balor at the Royal Rumble. Those things just don't make sense. Now, the thing that could be cool is if you have Damian Priest win, Gunther has the rematch, but then CM Punk gets inserted somehow, and now we have a triple threat match between those three guys, and that's how Punk wins the title. It protects Gunther, and he beats Damian Priest, or however you want to approach that. There's a number of ways you could do this. That's kind of the beauty of where WWE is right now. There's just so much top-tier talent, so much main event talent, but in this storyline, in the matchup, I think Gunther needs to win. He needs to win clean. He needs to win decisively, and he needs to continue this title reign and carry that into 2025. Now, hold on. I just had a crazy idea. Netflix is coming. Raw's coming to Netflix at the beginning of 2025. You could have Gunther retain the title, carry it to the first Raw on Netflix, and then have Gunther versus CM Punk. That would be a heck of a first Raw Netflix main event. Have Goldberg return, spear Gunther out of his boots, give Punk the world title. Boom. There you go, WWE. I just gave you your first main event on Netflix. That would be huge. And then it would give actual credence for Goldberg versus Gunther. That like it's just on front of millions of people's eyes, with Gunther being the face of Raw, and then Goldberg ripped that away from him. Then there's a fight for pride, a fight for honor. That would be something worth building a huge marquee match for Royal Rumble. Way better than something like Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns all those years ago. So there you go. That's my official prediction. Right now we see Gunther retain here. He faces CM Punk at the first Raw on Netflix in 2025. And CM Punk wins the World Championship so that Gunther and Goldberg can go wrestle a 6-minute match at the Royal Rumble. All right, a couple more predictions, if you will, but these are predictions on matches that I think could, maybe should happen. We have Braun Breaker, still Intercontinental Champion, taking on Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. I think that would be a fun triple threat match. Protect Sheamus from having to eat the pin by having Ludwig Kaiser walk away, being the one who eats the pin, and Braun Breaker can retain this title. I would love to see Sheamus get that IC belt. I'd love to see John Cena get it in 2025 as he, kind of wraps up his career as his retirement tour year. But I think Braun Breaker retains the title. I think we're going to see Braun Breaker potentially lose it at WrestleMania to who? I don't know. Maybe that's where he loses it to Sheamus, or maybe it's a John Cena victory win, although I still think I'd like to see John Cena win number 17 at WrestleMania. But if not, then have him win the IC title at WrestleMania instead. I also think that Ludwig Kaiser, I like what they're doing with his character, but I think you got to give him something, you got to give him something to really catapult him to be on the same level as somebody like Gunther, being paired with him, because even though Gunther's like, you're your own guy, we're always going to intrinsically connect Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther for this time if Ludwig Kaiser continues to lose. But if he steps out on his own and could do something impactful, I think that would be a really great way to tell the story of him branching off from Gunther. But if we have that triple threat match at Survivor Series, I have Braun Breaker retaining the IC title. Now, with this next match, I want to address something, and I don't think this match is actually going to happen at Survivor Series, but it could. Although I think it's going to happen at Saturday night's main event. We're going to have Kevin Owens against Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Now, if they do happen at Survivor Series, I think honestly it's a dusty finish. No pun intended. We're going to have inconclusive decision on the match. Maybe it'll be a double countout. Maybe it'll be a double DQ. And then we get a stipulation at Saturday night's main event. So maybe this match does happen, but if it does happen at Survivor Series, I don't see either man walking away definitively the winner. And if anybody does, it'll be Cody Rhodes. But I think you have Cody Rhodes, his emotions overtake him. Carmelo Hayes is still part of this feud as well. Maybe get Andrade LA Knight involved. There could be something interesting. But I don't see a world where Cody Rhodes loses the title here. And honestly, I don't see the match happening. I have another match happening, but if it does happen, I don't see a world where Kevin Owens wins the championship. I also don't see a world where Cody Rhodes definitively defeats Kevin Owens, killing his momentum at this point. I think you have a stipulation match, which will be just incredibly violent and incredibly hard-hitting, allowing Cody Rhodes to get the win, but still keeping Kevin Owens like this super maniacal, strong heel at Saturday night's main event as they relaunch that. So don't think that match is going to happen, but if it does, don't expect a clean winner. Now, something I do think could happen is an actual traditional Survivor Series match at Survivor Series. There's been a story told over the last several weeks of The Miz and the Final Testament against the Wyatt Six. And I think we're building towards a traditional Survivor Series tag team match. So my prediction is that we are going to see the team of The Miz, Karrion Kross, and the Authors of Pain against the Wyatt Six. And of course, that match, you would give it to the Wyatt Six. I think it's interesting. I think what they've done with the Wyatt Six has been fine, but I want to see that team. I don't want them to just be stuck in a mid-card act. I want them to get a proper main event push at some point down the road. You could have them go against Judgment Day. That would be a really fun feud. Hold on to Judgment Day a little bit longer properly with Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Dirty Dom, and Carlito, and have another 4-on-4 match. But obviously, I don't see Judgment Day holding on too much longer, so maybe that match doesn't happen. And obviously, the Bloodline versus Wyatt Six, it would be hard to tell that story with where the current world is with the OG Bloodline being involved. So Wyatt Six to win this match, and then where they go from there, I don't know, but I think it's pretty clear, it's pretty cut and dry that is the match we're going to have. Maybe that happens on Raw. I hope not. I mean, they need more matches to fill the Survivor Series card. So have a traditional Survivor Series match on the card. We haven't had it for a while. And I think that would be a really nice way to honor the namesake of the show. And of course, giving us that awesome entrance, an awesome group in the Wyatt Six, and also really honor what Karrion Kross has done. He's really stepped up his promo and character work over the last few months. Some of the best work of his career he's doing right now. And then of course, The Miz is The Miz. You love him, you hate him. He is a consistent standard of the business. So honor what he does for the business. Have them all in the PLE, but have the Wyatt Six go over. Last up, main event time, we have the men's WarGames match. The team of Bloodline, Temu Bloodline, Bloodline 2.0, Wish.com Bloodline, whatever you want to call them. Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and they are accompanied by Bronson Reed, going against the OG Bloodline of Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn, the honorary Us, and of course, recruited by Paul Heyman himself, one of his original clients, CM Punk. Guys, when I say CM Punk was one of, if not the best picks to be on that team, especially when you take in all of the logic of Seth Rollins not being on the team, I am ecstatic for this matchup. I think for me, it's very cut and dry. OG Bloodline is going to win, and I don't think they should. I think you look at everything that's happened in the context of the way Roman Reigns treated the Usos, treated Sami Zayn, has even treated Paul Heyman to a degree over the last several years. I think what makes the most sense logically is Sami Zayn getting his revenge. And they've kind of alluded to it. They've kind of alluded when he threw the phone onto the couch and all those kind of things. Even though some people were like, well, he's getting rid of his phone because he was about to go out and scrap with Bloodline 2.0. But I think it makes sense that Sami Zayn would get his payback on him. Like he hasn't apologized to anybody, Roman Reigns. He hasn't said sorry to anybody for what he did and what he put people through. He's acknowledged them, but like he never apologized to Jay. He never apologized to Sami. He never apologized to Paul Heyman when the Bloodline 2.0 beat him up. CM Punk came out and he stood up for him, which is why I think Paul Heyman called CM Punk to be a part of this team because he trusts him. So I think that like New Bloodline should win. They could. The Rock could show up at Survivor Series. It is one of the big 4 PLEs, and he showed up at Bad Blood, which is not a big 4 or big 5 if you count Money in the Bank PLE. So could New Bloodline win? 1,000% they could. But I mean, you think about the way that the match logic has progressed. Cody and Roman defeated the Bloodline at Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa at Bad Blood, right? Then at Crown Jewel, you had Bloodline defeat OG Bloodline. So now the logical progression is you have the OG Bloodline, the team everybody's wanted to see get back together for a while now, teaming up with CM Punk. You think they're going to win, right? Well, they have to, because I think that's the logic. But now you insert The Rock back into it. Maybe he's disappointed in Solo Sikoa. Maybe he's disappointed in New Bloodline, and he takes over as the final chief or whatever, or the high chief. It could be interesting, I think, to see New Bloodline win. There's a little bit of a tease of that. Paul Heyman on this last SmackDown wore an outfit very similar to Solo Sikoa. So is he, undercover working for New Bloodline? Could be. I mean, he's got a history with The Rock's family. But I do think when this match is all said and done, regardless of what happens afterwards with The Rock, Paul Heyman, whatever, I do think we're going to see the OG Bloodline get the win. I'm not sure who picks up the win, though. I would love to see CM Punk maybe hit the GTS on like Bronson Reed, although that might kill him. Maybe we have Sami Zayn pin Solo Sikoa. Maybe we have CM Punk pin Tongaloa. Maybe we have Roman Reigns pin Bronson Reed. I don't know, but man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a car crash. I anticipate this will be the match of the night. Maybe the Women's WarGames, that'll be a really fun match too, but I think the amount of star power, CM Punk being in there, Bronson Reed's on the run of his career, I think we're going to see that match still to show, and rightfully so. It will also be the main event with the OG Bloodline putting up the ones for all of them, and they will walk out with the win. All right, guys, those are my predictions for what I think is going to happen at Survivor Series 2024 and some of the matches that I think might happen that aren't even scheduled yet. But let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen at Survivor Series 2024. Make sure we check back at Survivor Series 2024 on this video to see, was I right with my match predictions, but also the matches that I think will be scheduled for the pay-per-view. Is Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens going to happen? I don't think so, but maybe it will. And then also make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. If you like video games, if you like wrestling or the occasional parent humor, you're in the right place. And I will see you very soon.